Assalamu alaikum, and a very warm welcome to you all. We often think that the more you know, the better off you are. But have you ever stopped to wonder if there's, well, a dark side to knowledge? There's this incredibly powerful passage in the Quran's 7th chapter, The Heights, that makes you think again. It really gets into the nitty-gritty of the link between what we know and who we become. So let's get right into it. So let's start with this question that seems to go against everything we're taught. Can knowledge actually be a curse? The passage we're looking at today says yes, it absolutely can. The idea here is that when knowledge isn't paired with humility, it doesn't lead you to a better place. It leads to your own ruin. And honestly, that idea is the key to unlocking everything else we're about to discuss. So, how does the Quran make this incredibly bold point? Well, it doesn't just give us a rule book. It does something much more powerful. It tells us a story. It pulls us right into this gripping, sobering, cautionary tale about someone who was given the ultimate gift of knowledge and then chose to throw it all away. Now, what's just fascinating here is the original Arabic word used, unsalaha. It means to shed or to peel off, almost like a snake shedding its skin. Just think about that for a second. This person didn't just forget what they knew. No, they actively stripped it away from themselves, leaving themselves totally exposed and vulnerable. It's such a stark reminder that knowledge, by itself, is not a suit of armor. So you have to wonder, how does a fall like this actually happen? Let's trace the steps that classical commentators have outlined. It all starts with a divine gift, knowledge. But then look what happens next. That gift isn't met with gratitude or humility, it's met with pride and neglect. And that right there, that's the opening. That's what allows for satanic influence to creep in, which then leads to the final stage, total deviation. The most important thing to see here is that the problem wasn't the knowledge. The seed of destruction was the response to having that knowledge. Okay, so we've seen what happened in the story. Now, the text zooms in and gets to the heart of why it happened. We're moving from that one specific parable to a much broader diagnosis of the human condition itself, really an analysis of the choices that can lead any of us astray. And here it is, laid out in the plainest terms possible. On one side, you have this incredible offer of divine elevation, a chance to rise above our most basic instincts. And on the other side, the choice to just cling to the earth, to follow our immediate, temporary desires. The text is making it so clear that this isn't some accident. It's a conscious choice, a trade, swapping something eternal for something that's gone in a flash. And then the Quran uses this unforgettable simile. A dog pants if you chase it, and it pants if you leave it alone. It's in this constant state of agitated thirst. This image is so powerful because it perfectly captures that feeling of spiritual restlessness, that deep ingratitude. It's saying that it doesn't matter what your external circumstances are. If a heart has rejected God's signs, it can simply never, ever find peace. This idea of rejecting signs brings us to a really crucial concept in the Quran, heedlessness. The text goes on to describe people who have all the tools they need. They have hearts to feel, eyes to see, and ears to hear, but they just fail to use them for what they were made for, which is to understand the truth. Now, I know this sounds like a very harsh comparison, but it's really not meant to be a simple insult. The point here is all about responsibility. You see, livestock act on instinct, but human beings, we've been given these incredible faculties for higher reasoning and making moral choices. So to neglect those gifts is a type of negligence that we're actually held responsible for. It's a choice to live below our God-given potential, which, in this view, is to be even more lost. But after diagnosing the problem so sharply, the text does a beautiful pivot. It doesn't just leave us there in despair. Instead, it offers a clear, practical antidote. And it's simple. If heedlessness is the disease, then mindful, active remembrance is the cure. So the first part of the solution is all about getting clarity. The text points us toward God's best names. In Arabic, that's Al-Asma al-Husna. And these are so much more than just labels. They're descriptions of God's attributes, the merciful, the just, the all-knowing. Really understanding them gives us the right language, the right framework to build a proper relationship with the divine. And it's not enough to just know these names academically. We have to use them. The text gives a direct command: invoke him by them. This is the first practical tool in our spiritual toolkit. It means you actually shape your prayers, your conversations with God, your entire devotion around a clear, solid understanding of who He is. The second tool is like a form of emergency spiritual therapy for those moments of weakness. When temptation pops up or an evil suggestion enters your mind, the instruction is immediate and simple. Seek refuge in Allah. It's a direct, conscious action to fight back against an intrusive thought by turning straight to God for protection.
And here's the final tool, which is really the ultimate long-term preventative measure. It's consistent, quiet, private remembrance of God throughout your day, in the morning, in the evening. This practice, known as dhikr, is presented as the direct opposite of heedlessness. It's what keeps the heart awake, aware, and connected. So, now that we have these tools, the passage gives us one final section. And it's fantastic. It's basically a clear, actionable guide for how to take this internal spiritual state and apply it to our daily interactions with other people. You could call it a playbook for the heart out in the real world. And just look at how simple and profound this is. 3 basic rules of engagement. First, show forgiveness. Second, actively encourage what is good and right. And third, and this is a big one, don't get sucked into pointless, draining arguments with people who are committed to being ignorant. This is literally a recipe for keeping your own spiritual and ethical balance in what can be a very challenging world. And this all leads to the final, absolutely majestic image. The passage closes by contrasting that arrogant man from the beginning of the story with those who are truly near to God. And what is it that defines their nearness? It's not their encyclopedic knowledge. It's their profound humility. They aren't too proud to worship. In fact, they constantly exalt God and prostrate in total submission. And so we end up right back where we started, but hopefully with a whole new perspective. This entire passage just keeps circling back to this one fundamental question. It forces every one of us to ask ourselves, is the knowledge I have a tool for humility and getting closer to God, or is it just a possession that feeds my ego? The text makes it crystal clear that real wisdom isn't just about knowing the path, it's about humbly walking it every single day.